When Gabriel arrived at the main circle just as the sun rose above the horizon, a crowd had already gathered. Word about Matthias challenging Gabriel for the position of clan heir had spread like wildfire through the clan, and those curious about the clan succession, which meant practically everyone, came. "Gabriel." Rowan called out to him. Gabriel walked over to the clan head, gave him a small bow, then grasped his forearm in greeting. "Clan head, I looked everywhere for you. Where have you been?" Rowan asked the younger man with a worried expression on his face. "I was preparing for today's challenge," Gabriel replied, keeping his tone even. Rowan's face scrunched up as if he were in physical pain. "I am sorry. I could not do more to defend you." Gabriel shook his head. "Rowan, you gave me a home. You took me in, clothed me, fed me, and trained me. You have done more than enough for me. The choice to fight today was mine." The older man grew overwhelmed with emotion and clasped him on the shoulder. "Fight hard, Gabriel." "There's no need to worry, Rowan. Everything's going to be okay," Gabriel whispered reassuringly into the older man's ear. The crowd began to murmur just as Rowan was about to ask Gabriel what he meant. Matthias had arrived wearing a cocky smirk on his face. Gabriel narrowed his eyes at him. A good leader would never underestimate his opponent, even if Matthias thought he didn't have his sun-blessed abilities. It made his blood boil that the blonde-haired boy thought he was fitting enough to become the future successor of the Yamato clan. Gabriel turned to look at Rowan and nodded to him. He was ready. In a thundering voice, the clan head addressed the crowd. "As you all already know, Matthias has challenged Gabriel for the position of clan heir, and Gabriel has accepted. The rules remain unchanged. The first to yield or fall unconscious will be named the loser. Aside from that, anything goes." Anticipation and unease charged the air as the crowd waited for the challenge to begin. The rules were always the same, but anyone who had watched past Yamato clan challenges knew that death was also a form of falling unconscious. Gabriel's loss of sun-blessed powers raised the likelihood of only one fighter walking away from this challenge. "Fighters, take your places," Rowan ordered. As Gabriel entered the dirt-covered fighting circle, he scanned the crowd. The clan elders occupied the front row of tiered seats ringing the main circle. Gabriel narrowed his eyes as he watched the great elder laugh at something the man beside him said. It was as if he didn't think Gabriel posed any threat to his grandson. Gabriel met Matthias in the middle of the circle. They stood a few feet apart, eyes trained on each other, watching for the slightest movement. Gabriel stilled his mind and calmed his breath. When he rid himself of any expectations of his opponent, he wielded his powers more freely and effectively. Then, the clan head's voice thundered through the circle. "Begin." Matthias charged at Gabriel as soon as the words left Rowan's mouth, intent on crushing his opponent's throat with a killing blow. Air swirled violently above Matthias's clenched fist, a telltale sign of being at the Daybringer level. The crowd gasped in surprise. It seemed that Matthias had leveled up without anyone knowing. No wonder he and his grandfather were so cocky, Gabriel thought. With a thrust of his palm, he summoned his sun-blessed power to slow Matthias's blow. He heard the crowd gasp as he revealed the return of his powers. Caught off guard, Matthias barely had any time to react before Gabriel reached out and snatched his deadly punch with his bare hand. With a violent twist, Gabriel broke Matthias's arm. A sickening crack resounded through the space. "Ugh!" Matthias exclaimed in pain and anger. Not missing a beat, Gabriel pinned Matthias face down on the ground. "Yield!" There was a silence in the crowd. Gabriel knew he was going against the grain. No Yamato fighter ever demanded a yield, preferring to knock their opponent out cold or even kill them. But he had grown up with the boy, even though he didn't like that Matthias would kick him while he was down. They had trained and fought alongside each other, and Gabriel was reluctant to truly hurt a clan brother. Matthias struggled violently against him, fighting for control despite the pain in his arm. "No!" he bit out angrily. Gabriel gripped Matthias by his shirt and flipped him around. He summoned his powers, which coated his fist in a blue glow, and reared his fist back threateningly. "I said, yield." "Never." Matthias defiantly tilted his chin up. Knowing that he had to end the fight, Gabriel steeled himself. Just as he was about to strike Matthias's face, the Great Elder bolted up from his seat. "Wait!" Gabriel froze, holding his fist in position. He looked up and met the Elder's gaze. The old man's face was creased in concern. "He yields. Matthias yields," he desperately said. Gabriel turned a questioning gaze to the clan head. Rowan took a moment to assess the situation before giving him a curt nod. "Gabriel is the victor," he proclaimed. "He remains clan heir." The crowd erupted in cheers. Gabriel climbed off of Matthias and dusted his clothes off. He extended his hand to help his opponent, but Matthias brushed it aside, struggling to his feet. "The healer should be able to see to that," Gabriel said, gesturing to Matthias's broken arm, feeling only the slightest bit guilty. While he didn't want Matthias dead, he wasn't opposed to teaching him a lesson about messing with him. "Go to hell," Matthias spat, clearly dissatisfied with the outcome of the fight. Gabriel shrugged. The fight was won. The clan head had declared him the victor. There was no need to engage further, so he turned around and walked toward Rowan and a group of supporters cheering for him at the edge of the circle. Xavier watched the whole scene from afar and let out a sigh of relief. He'd been watching the exchange with bated breath, fearing his friend would be gravely injured or even killed. But he defended himself in a spectacular manner. Sun-blessed powers back in full force. There was a heaviness in Xavier's heart as he watched the crowd cheer and celebrate Gabriel's win. A bitter jealousy swelled within him, but he tamped it down. He felt guilty for having these feelings for the man he considered a brother, but it had been difficult growing up in his shadow. Gabriel's sun-blessed abilities shone so brightly, and no matter how hard he practiced and trained, he could never surpass him. Watching Matthias's expression closely, he knew the other boy felt the same. He fleetingly wondered if Matthias would live down the humiliation of having his grandfather yield on his behalf. His question was soon answered when he saw Matthias begin to charge at Gabriel's retreating back, summoning his Daybringer powers to his fists, no doubt preparing to deliver a deadly blow. "Gabriel, behind you!" he shouted. The moment Gabriel heard Xavier's voice, he whipped around only to see Matthias barreling toward him. With quick reflexes, Gabriel called upon his sun-blessed abilities. A blue torrent erupted from his hands, slamming into Matthias with an overwhelming force. Matthias was blasted backwards, limp body hurtling through the air. He crashed into the far end of the circle, Gabriel's attack rendering him unconscious before he even hit the ground. A hushed silence ran through the crowd of people who had stopped in their tracks when they caught sight of Matthias's dishonorable attack. Fighting dirty was accepted and even lauded in fights against other clans and tribes, but within the Yamato clan's main circle, where official challenges took place, it was a huge taboo. No one imagined that Matthias would pull such a move. Even if Matthias survived Gabriel's blow, his reputation was ruined. The crowd dispersed as the Great Elder called desperately for healers to help his grandson. Gabriel turned to look up at Xavier, who stood in the stands, and nodded at him, thanking him for the warning. His younger clan brother nodded back. "I didn't want to do that," Gabriel admitted to Rowan as soon as he came up to the clan head. Rowan hummed thoughtfully. "In time you will learn that it is sometimes necessary to eliminate threats from the root. I wonder if the Great Elder will be a problem." Gabriel understood that Rowan was considering ousting or neutralizing the Great Elder. "He won't dare now that I have my abilities back," Gabriel replied confidently. He scanned the crowd for the other elders and felt a deep sense of satisfaction to see that their faces were ashen at his win. He was still bitter at the fact that they had been so quick to cast him aside when he'd lost his powers. "Why didn't you tell me you got your powers back?" Rowan asked as they left the main circle. Gabriel gave him a cheeky smile. "Because then the fight wouldn't have been as exciting for you to watch." "You fiend! Do you know how worried I was?" Rowan hit Gabriel on his arm. "My old heart was about to fail me." Gabriel simply laughed in response. Just then, a messenger came running up to the clan head. "Sir, We've received reports about magical activity in the southern mountain ranges. We think a crystal mine might be opening up." With a nod, Rowan dismissed the messenger and turned to Gabriel. "How about it, son? Feeling up to conquering another mine for the clan?"